And good morning. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here on Idea TV. And this is the newspaper review, your one show that talks about the national dailies and also discuss all that's going on the national scene here in Nigeria. My name is Paul Oladpukwo, and this is the newspaper review TV. We start quickly this morning with the Nation newspaper to see what's been said on the front pages of the Nation this morning. I guess we'll come back quickly and go on a quick break, and once we return, we'll continue with the newspaper review. My name is Paul, and this is Idea TV.
Smart apps. Smart apps leverage AI and machine learning to provide personalized user experiences and automate tasks. These apps are being used across sectors like finance, healthcare, and retail to improve customer engagement and operational efficiency. For example, smart investment apps offer tailored financial advice, while healthcare apps assist in diagnostics. However, data privacy remains a concern as these apps collect sensitive user information. The market for smart apps is projected to grow to $62.4 billion by 2025. Sustainable technology. Sustainable technology focuses on reducing the environmental impact of industries by leveraging green energy, recycling, and waste management innovations. From solar panels to green manufacturing processes, the focus is on sustainability as regulations tighten globally. But scalability remains a concern. Green technologies often require large initial investments, and the global infrastructure isn't always equipped to handle the shift away from fossil fuels. The sustainable tech market is projected to grow from $36.6 billion by 2027, with industries like transportation, energy, and manufacturing leading the way. In real time. However, 5G rollout isn't without hurdles. High costs of infrastructure and regulatory issues in some regions have slowed down implementation.
We start from a statement from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu saying that I'm committed to making Southeast great again. That's what Tinubu says as OT6 Southeast South rail line to boost trade as in the Southeast. And also we see here on page 6 that Nigeria Meta up to settle for about 32.8 million US dollars data privacy breach fine. That's on page 6 of the Nation. And also we see that Osasi Godalo says relocating to Nigeria, my boldest risk. That's on page 21. And also we see here a picture of Wike and a few others, the Minister of State of the FCT, and a few others right there at the flag off of the Light Up Abuja project. That is somewhere here in Abuja with the aim of eliminating major districts and also expressway in the capital city, ensuring that the capital is not left in the dark. And also we see here a story of a Delta man who says one man can't satisfy a man's passion. Delta billionaire who just married 19 wives says that do not rule out taking more wives, and he says that engaging in marital activities is the best physical exercise, and also he says that herbs and roots gives him stamina. That's on page 23. And the big story here says that Jonathan, coming from one of Jonathan's statements in the last few days, saying that Boko Haram once nominated Buhari as negotiator, says he expected insurgency to end under late president. You are making false starts to 2027 campaign, Garba Shehu hits back at Jonathan. Obasanjo, new thinking needed to end Boko Haram. And also, Leah Shahibu orders scar on Nigeria, says Bishop Coker. I guess I will start off with Jonathan's story. I mean, Jonathan has been in the stories lately of stating that he's going to be running for the 2027 presidential campaign here in Nigeria. And it is shocking to see him coming out to say something like this, because this is a very bold statement accusing the former president and now late president Muhammadu Buhari. It is there's this popular saying that we don't speak ill of the dead, and this is him saying a statement that the dead person cannot even come back to defend, or anyone can actually defend, and that's what Garba Shehu is stating in this particular this morning, that this is not a good start if you want to run for president come 2027. You should have. There are other ways to do things. There are better ways to do things. And, accusing someone of something like this is too bold a move, and it shouldn't be. And also, as regards the story of Meta and Nigeria, I mean, it was the Nigerian Protection Commission, that's the NDPC, and also Meta, has been back and forth when Meta sued NDPC, claiming denial for fair hearing and also due process. However, the NDPC opposed the suit, describing it as an incompetent and also lack proper procedure. However, both of them have now decided to settle out of court, with for about 32.8 million, and that is. So the good thing about all of this is the fact that it is a very good, is in a good light. It shows how the Data Protection Act of June 2023 is actually taking effect, and also we're seeing the enforcement. I guess this is one of the first enforcements. Also, there were similar actions taken against companies like MultiChoice, who were fined close to 800 million naira for also privacy breach. And also, we are seeing how Nigeria is taking more interesting efforts and also more intentional efforts to ensure that there's no breach and privacy and everyone's data is safe at the end of the day. So I guess the next step is they've said so. These are two very good precedents, and also is to take more legal actions on other bodies who are also carrying out similar atrocities on people's data, because people's data is very, very sensitive. And also President Bola Ahmed Tinubu stating that it's going to be focusing on the Southeast as well, and also ensuring that it is great again. I mean, the Southeast has a very great economic potential. If only we can tap into it. They have very industrious people there. They are good at buying and selling. That is one of their best traits, and that's one of the things that we should be looking out for. I mean, Abba makes one of there's nothing Abba cannot make. We can also link Abba to China's, how industrialist that they are in China, and that is what we're seeing. And also we hope that the railway that's going to be connecting the Southeast and also the South also helps in boosting intra-economy in both regions. I mean, it's very important. So to ease transport, and I mean, once transport is eased, there's usually a drop in prices in a number of things. Now let's move on now to the Saturday Tribune to see what's been said on the front page of the Saturday Tribune. We start with a window story on page 4 saying that Osun local government funds, court extend account freezing order till October 9. Council chairman secure fresh order against account. And also we see that Supreme Court freeze October 7 for suit. And also Adeleke says that we will retrieve our money. That's on page 28 of the Tribune this morning. And also on page 25, we see that Wike flags of 2 million flag of N2 road pledges, inclusive infrastructure delivery. That's on page 25. We're seeing a picture of a number of senators here, the FCT minister, also the minister of state, the managing director of a construction company, and a few others, and also an FCTA acting civil service That's Mrs. Nancy Nathan at the flag off ceremony yesterday. It was really a wonderful one and also a great one. Also, on page 25, we see that Lautech nurses suspend strike after Mackinday's intervention on page 25. And also, ADC leadership says that court says no to Kachilu's motion, and that is on page 5 of the Tribune this morning. I guess I'll start with Oshun. Okay, we have a story on page 7 as well, saying that Obasanjo, Jonathan, Koka, Sultan brainstorm on terror war. Koka says that politician exploits Islam for power. Also, Sultan says that Islam jihad not about violence or politics, and also Tinubu vows to defeat insecurity. We want to see more intentional acts in terms of battling insecurity. There's been, this week alone, we lost a senior colleague at Arise Television, and it's a really sad one. All linked to insecurity even here in the state's capital. It was really a sad one to see, and really the stories around it are really not so clear. But the point is that there was a robbery and it led to a death at the end of the day. And also, Coca as well is one that has always been. I guess that's since there was this panel session that was held as a long back ago, where it was, I can't really remember the name of the panel session there, and then that's when we've always seen Coca in the news. Bishop Coca now, I guess then it was a reverend, and now we're seeing him, still talking about politics, and it's usually from a very strong point. And now we're saying that politicians are actually exploiting Islam for power, which is a very sad one. We shouldn't be exploiting anybody. It's not right at the end of the day. I guess to move on now quickly. Okay, I guess we'll talk about Osun State local government fund as well. Osun State's government fund has been frozen for a while now, and it's been back and forth and courts here and there, just trying to get their money back. Osun money is confirmed. That's what Davido said. But it would be very nice if their funds could be released for them also for. We're talking about a lot about regional developments now. And if you really want the regional development, it starts from releasing local government funds so that local governments can carry out projects in their own local government, and also citizens of such local governments can benefit from national development and also regional development, and also marking this intervention on the nurses. Lautech is one school that has been that goes on strike almost regularly. It's known so much. That's Lautech in Ogbomoso. It's known so much for going on strike very regularly, and it's nice to see that. Sheyi Makinde has been having a lot of interventions with them since he got into power. That's for the past 7 years now, thereabout. But it would be very nice to see a more permanent solution, a long-lasting solution, a solution that doesn't need an intervention next year or in next 2 months, but a solution that is more permanent. And I also heard I also increased the salary of security men in the school as well, which is a very nice one. Okay, now let's move on to the Vanguard this morning, the Vanguard weekend, to see what is there. We could see the big story here is as a face of the Nobel laureates, Wale Soyinka, on the Vanguard this morning. It says inside story of Soyinka Theatre for Culture and Creative Arts. That's which was formerly known as the National Theatre. Now we move on to page 26. You see, my ambition to govern Ekiti is rooted in genuine desire to serve my people. That's what Ojo says. And also a message from Cry, the beloved country. That is, I guess, an article. Also, we're seeing that Professor Steve Azikili are providing global leadership with African roots, building a lasting legacy. And also, we see that state reaffirms commitment to decentralized power markets and debunks backpedal claims. That's on page 2. Meanwhile, still on page 2 as well is the story of Osun State's government, local funds. Says Osun State for local government funds. Courts extend account freezing order till October 9. And also on page 3, we see that Afenifere fumes over in incursion of terrorists into Kwara and Kogi, that's on page 3, once against Afghanistan-style destabilization. And on page 3, we see here that police intends on issuing CMRIS certificates. Really cool. That's what Inuwa is saying. Meanwhile, on page 35, we see that striking lecturers of university laments governors' neglect of institution. Okay, so I mean, it's really sad to see usually when state governments have schools and do not follow up with the schools, do not ensure the development of the schools. I mean, if you want development, real development in your state, one good way to start is by investing so big in your school. And I mean, you would always always see the effect, you always reap the effect. And also, it was great news on October 1st when the National Theatre was reopened after renovation, and it was really lovely. It was a very beautiful scene. It's giving more like O2 Arena, like some people call it. And I really would want to go to the National Theatre now. Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Arts. A lot was actually said at the opening. The president vowing that it's never going to go into a state of rehabilitation, and he is going to be speaking with Cardoso to develop a maintenance fund to ensure that this place keeps running, and it is very wonderful. And also, Wole Soyinka was there to grace the occasion and also accept that it is renamed after him. And Wole Soyinka is one man when it comes to the art world that everyone respects, and it's really nice to see that a building such a monumental building like that, like National Theatre, is being renamed after him. I guess during one of Burna Boy's performances, I guess that was during COVID-19, where he used the National Theatre, and I guess that's one of the things that sparked conversation as regards renovating it, because I remember then that the state of the National Theatre then was not so good, and he used that. I mean, that's a form of advocacy in his own way. I mean, it's really nice. And now let's move on now to the Punch newspaper, Saturday Punch, to see what has been said. They call themselves the most widely read newspaper. On page 16, we see here the picture of one of the Kutis, as Made Kuti, saying that growing up in African shrine made me free. That is from Made Kuti. Meanwhile, on page 27, Buhari's aide to Jonathan, stop lying. Boko Haram Boko Haram wanted to kill Buhari. That is what Buhari's aide is saying this morning on the Punch newspaper. Also, we see here on the big story that inside bandit bloody attack that ended Kwara community. That's still on insurgency and also insecurity in the land. I mean, there's so much of insecurity when it comes to Nigeria at the moment. Also, we see here that Nasara Corp freed after murder of 7 traders. That's on page 8 of the Saturday Punch this morning. And also, we see here that inside bandit bloody attack that emptied Kwara's community. I guess I've taken that before. Also, we see here on page 5 that you are a deadbeat father. Oluwo's ex-wife slams the monarch. That's on page 5. Meanwhile, on page 20 and 21, we see here that sad tales of youth betting lives. Else for trails, that's from DS to Dread. That's also an article as regards people betting, the rate of betting. This is coming from Arise TV reporter, producer, and presenter's father, that's Somto, saying that Somto's death pierced my heart like harrow. That's on page 11. Also on page, still on the Punch as well, we see here that tinted glass permits, police says about 210 vehicles in 6 states here in Nigeria. That's as regards to tinted glass permits. And on court extends injunction on Osun local government funds. That's extending the funds, the freezing of the accounts to somewhere around October 9th, later this month. I mean, it's this the Punch is really wonderful this morning, and also speaks a lot on a lot of stories here and there. And I guess one big story that we should talk about at this point is the case of insecurity. We cannot shout it so much loud. I mean, these are two big stories here, talking about how much of insecurity that we are currently facing here, right here in Nigeria. Really, really sad stories that are really avoidable if there is more intentionality as all of these things to ensure to curb all of these things, and we can only hope for the best. That's all I would say on this. And also we see again how that I earlier mentioned about some Tochukwu's death. And it's really sad to see a father also is in the newspaper this morning grieving, which is a very, very sad one for a father to lose his daughter. As we all know how daughters highlight to fathers. And now we'll go quickly to the last newspaper of the day, the Weekend Trust. That is an offshoot of the Daily Trust, the weekend version of the Daily Trust. And now on page 26, we see here that bridge roads come to flood in Taraba, Kebbi, and other states. That's on page 26. Meanwhile, on page 16, we see that court halt police enforcement of tinted glass permit. That's on page 16. Meanwhile, we say on page 16 as well, we see that Chibok girls adoption is scar I would die with, as the words of Jonathan, not mine. And also on page 28, we see that lives of former governor turned traditional rulers. That's on page 28 of the Weekend Trust this morning. Meanwhile, we see here that on page 13, how misinformation throws Nigerian women into surrogacy ditch. That's on page 13. Meanwhile, on page 10, we see that depression, failed marriage, fuel drug abuse among women. That's on page 10. That's a really sad one. And also here we see the case of Kwara. And it says insecurity. Kwara bleeds. It says report number of killing of the people killed and also kidnapped in Kwara State as of 2025. A total number of 76 people killed and a total number of 86 persons killed, with a total number of of 5 areas attacked in Kwara State. It's a whole lot of breakdown here, talking about how it has been from January down to October. October already, they have 2 already they are being killed, are being kidnapped already here in Nigeria, which is here in Kwara, which is really, really sad. And I guess I'll just wrap up quickly with the story of how drug abuse is currently increases on the right side, is on the rise across Nigeria, and now we're seeing that is linked to failed marriages, which is really, really sad. Drug shouldn't be a way out. It should never be an option for people to go out. And also, we're seeing, I really would love to see more stories about the traditional rulers and also how they're able to hold their firm and try to, probably gain the trust of citizens yet again. And and that's one of the stories that I see, and it says that lives of former governors transform as traditional rulers, and that is the latest now is Ladoja of Ibadan, who was once a governor and now is a traditional ruler of his own state, and he was the one clamoring for Ibadan State. But I guess I feel like that's not needed, but it's his wish, and hopefully it's granted to him. I guess that's all we'll be able to take this morning on the newspaper review here on Idea TV. Do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn at Idea TV. My name remains Paul Oladipupo. Thanks for watching this morning. See you again tomorrow.